Hello and welcome to a special bonus episode of My Baseball History. I'm your host, Dan Wallach. My Baseball History is usually a long-form interview podcast where each episode I'll talk to someone new who has some sort of association to the game of baseball. But this isn't quite that. I've been teasing a big announcement in recent episodes and in recent issues of Clearing the Bases, our email newsletter, which you can sign up for at shoelesspodcast.substack.com. And if you follow the show on social media, you may have already seen the big news, which is related to a previous guest on our show, Nancy Faust. Nancy first played her now iconic interpretation of Na Na, Hey Hey, Kiss 'Em Goodbye at Comiskey Park on July 29th, 1977.
Driving down there, hearing it on the radio and hearing the word goodbye. And I think, oh, that's a good one. So as I'm driving, I can write C, E flat, B flat, C, because I want to remember to do that song.
Yeah.
Because it has goodbye in it.
Yeah.
And then when I think back, when it all happened was, like you said, July 29th, and I played it first because the player struck out, because I thought that'd be a great strikeout song, Na Na Goodbye.
Yeah.
And they sang sorta, but if you listen again, I thought, oh, I'll do it when they take the pitcher on. Then it really caught on.
The song has become a staple in the repertoire of the legendary organist during her career and has helped shape the in-stadium experience on the south side of Chicago and at sporting events across the country over the last 5 decades.
The first time I played it, it took off.
Okay.
I mean, that's the first time I've got a response other than Take Me Out to the Ballgame or Charge. Everybody perked up. When I was walking through the Bard's room after that July 29th game, the writers are going, what was that? You know,
Right.
It was just created such an impact.
It became such a big hit again once Nancy played it that summer that Mercury Records awarded Nancy an RIAA Gold record for her role in repopularizing the song by the band Steam, which originally came out 8 years earlier in 1969. To celebrate the anniversary of this momentous occasion, we are re-releasing Nancy's first album, Nancy Faust At The Game, both on compact disc and digitally. Copies of the CD are available for purchase either unsigned or autographed by Nancy. It's a joint release in conjunction with Chicago label Artistic Integrity Records with a release date of July 29th, 2025. Nancy Faust At The Game was originally released in the spring of 1978 as a one-time vinyl-only pressing and had never been produced in any other format since. But now, for the first time in nearly 50 years, these recordings are available to be heard again. You'll hear Nancy play Na Na, Hey Hey, Kiss 'Em Goodbye on this album, but you'll also hear other classics like Stars and Stripes Forever, The Entertainer, I'm Just Wild About Harry, and another song that Nancy had a huge role in repopularizing in American culture, Take Me Out to the Ballgame.
Even before it was announced, now please join Harry and Nancy, it was like everybody was just yelling, oh, Harry, you know. I mean, and I think even if the Sox were doing really poorly, and if anybody was thinking of leaving the park, they would wait for that. It was a game highlight.
Yeah.
So it really turned into a thing.
Tracks 1 through 10 were recorded live at Comiskey Park on August 22nd, 1977 during a game between the White Sox and the Yankees, while Nancy was playing a Hammond X66 organ with an ARP Pro Soloist synthesizer.
I started on a Hammond B3,
Okay.
which is a classical instrument, which is no longer made, but they're great. They hold up forever, and they are used at Jazz Fest. So actually, you'll see it on the set of Saturday Night Live. It's got that look, and all the 70s and 80s music used a Hammond B3 and a Leslie speaker.
Yeah.
But then I remember convincing the Sox in 1972, I believe, that Hammond had come out with a new model, and it was like really great. So they bought that for me, and it was called an X66. And after that, I played whatever kind of arrangement the Sox could work out with an organ dealer that provided the organ, and they would give tickets or something in exchange.
Yeah.
So I just said, give me something with 2 full keyboards and 2 octaves of pedals, and I made it work.
But wait, there's more, because this is like a commercial, I guess. Tracks 11 through 18 were recorded live at Chicago Stadium on October 25th, 1977, during an NBA game between the Chicago Bulls and the Golden State Warriors, while Nancy was playing a Hammond 2307M Concord organ with an ARP Pro Soloist synthesizer.
Well, when I played for the Bulls games, I played an electric organ, very similar to the organ that I played at the ballpark.
Okay.
And it was just on a casters on a big dolly, and they'd roll it out on the floor.
Press row?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right next to there. I just sat there. So that was very much like playing a regular organ at the ballpark or like in my house.
To keep her basketball audience happy, Nancy plays Sweet Georgia Brown, as well as some contemporary hits from that era. In all, there are 18 tracks that were almost lost to the sands of time. We are thrilled to be able to bring this album back to life and preserve it for future generations. Listening to these songs is like taking a trip back in time. To be able to hear the true roar of the crowd, to listen to the fans cheering and singing along with Nancy's playing during the prime of her life and career is something that sends chills down my spine in the best way. Nancy Faust At The Game was originally produced by a boutique record label called Players in Person, by Richard Dozer, Phoebe Meadow, and other partners, but the audio has been painstakingly restored and fully remastered from the original vinyl release by Dave Eck of Lucky Lacquers. The new design, layout, and graphics for the CD release were done by me, with help from my friends Mitchell Ransdell and Nick Vetter, and include never-before-seen photos of Nancy during the 1977 White Sox and Bulls seasons, as well as updated liner notes written by Nancy herself. The actual disc is designed to look like one of the colorful pinwheels atop Comiskey Park's famous exploding scoreboard. Nancy Faust played the organ at more than 3,000 Chicago White Sox games starting at Old Comiskey Park in 1970, with the last appearance in her stretch of 41 straight seasons as the full-time organist for the team coming on Sunday, October 3rd, 2010 at what was then called U.S. Cellular Field. During the 2025 season, the White Sox have invited Nancy back to the stadium for a number of dates, much to the delight of her adoring fans. At the beginning of her career, Nancy was tasked with playing the song of each player's birth state as the batter walked to the plate.
Yeah, when I showed up, Stu Holcomb just gave me a list of players, and he said, you know, it might be nice if you could play a little fanfare as each one approaches the base. Just play their state song. And that was easy because I knew all that stuff from my mom. My mother had played for conventions. If there was something I didn't know, I could just call her because there was a phone at the organ out in the center field there, one of those old phones that you dial.
That's so funny.
And I'd say, can you just hum a few bars and get me going, you know? And it was good enough.
But she was also given freedom to play and respond to the crowd's moods. Almost immediately upon her arrival at her original perch in the center field bleachers of Old Comiskey, Nancy became arguably the first sports organist to include pop and rock themes while playing during games, straying away from an organist's typical musical choices, which usually dated to the 1960s or earlier at that time. In her second season as the team's organist, Nancy's shyness waned. She carried a radio out with her and tied creative tunes from TV commercials or popular songs to the players in game situations, as well as to the conversations happening on the radio broadcast she was listening to.
I know I was appealing to a certain segment at the ballpark that was just into, oh, isn't that cool? This song goes with that. And they made a game of figuring that out. And that was pretty unique to our park. I don't think any other parks did anything like that, but it was just something that I could do.
Nancy swiftly made a name for herself due to her fast thinking, her quick wit, her sense of humor, and of course her brilliant musicianship. Before long, Nancy herself became a major entertainment force, an attraction at the ballpark, and a fan favorite. In addition to being an innovator, Nancy was incredibly reliable. She didn't miss a single White Sox home game from 1983 through 2005, including the team's 2005 playoff run, which ended with the White Sox winning the World Series. One of the proudest moments in Nancy's career was when the team awarded her with a World Series ring from that 2005 team. After the Sox clinched the American League pennant that year, Nancy became a featured performer for the Chicago Symphony Orchestra, but she's also appeared on ABC's Good Morning America and was written up in Sports Illustrated as baseball's MVO, or Most Valuable Organist. Nancy has been celebrated with multiple days at the ballpark specifically honoring her. 10,000 Nancy Faust bobblehead dolls were presented to fans by the White Sox before their game on September 18, 2010, just 2 weeks before her retirement. Nancy has contributed organ pieces to the podcast edition of Countdown with Keith Olbermann, and she was inducted into the Baseball Reliquary Shrine of the Eternals in 2018. Her talents and contribution to the game are also recognized in an exhibit at the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown called Women in Baseball.
I was really made for that job. It was in my niche. I don't know what, I could never do anything in life as well as I was suited for that.
Nancy was our guest for a full episode of My Baseball History, which was the premiere of Season 4. The clips you're hearing during this short episode are actually all taken from that interview, so if you haven't heard the whole thing, you can head to shoelesspodcast.com when this is over and give it a listen. We recorded that interview at Nancy's house on August 1st, 2023, But she and I stayed in touch after that, and we've become friends. For those of you who have followed my baseball history for a while, you may have heard me talk about my vinyl record collection. Basically, anytime I've seen a baseball-related vinyl record in the past 25 years, I've bought it. I have dozens in my collection. Some of them are incredibly common, but others are pretty rare. I have personally owned vinyl copies of Nancy's records for years now, but last year I wanted to get another copy for a friend, so I started looking in all my usual places. Local record stores, eBay, Discogs, random message boards, and Facebook groups. It took months before I was able to find one in good enough shape to give to my buddy as a gift, so I asked Nancy if she'd ever thought about re-releasing any of her old music. She hadn't, so I did my best to convince her that getting those old recordings restored and remastered would be the best way to preserve them. Nancy is one of the most humble people I know. It literally took weeks of talking on the phone with her to even convince her to do the podcast episode with me. Nancy said that she didn't think anyone would care enough about her story, and that she felt like she didn't have anything new to say after 50 years of giving interviews. But Nancy's episode is actually one of the most streamed and most downloaded interviews in the history of our show. This was not a surprise to me. Nancy's a legend. I know it, and you know it, but it takes some nudging for Nancy to accept that. After our episode aired, and I think especially after she poured over the liner notes on shoelesspodcast.com, Nancy finally understood what my mission had been all along. For me, it's not about churning out content and being controversial so I can generate clicks. It's not about hot takes and screaming at you while I argue a point in a debate that I don't even believe just because I know it's going to go viral. The goal of my baseball history has always been preserving the stories and the legacies of the incredible people who make the game of baseball what it is. So when I asked her to let me re-release Nancy Faust at the Game so her longtime fans could hear it again, so her new fans could hear it for the first time, and so future fans can easily access these recordings and enjoy them forever, Nancy trusted me. It's been so surreal getting to know her over these past couple years and become her friend after being her fan my whole life. But it's been a truly humbling experience being entrusted with her songs this past year to make this release happen. It's an honor I don't take lightly, and I know when you hold the finished product in your hands, you're going to see why Nancy felt comfortable letting me help preserve her legacy. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a joint release between my baseball history and the Chicago-based label Artistic Integrity Records, so there are a couple different ways you can get to the site to buy your copies. You can head to shoelesspodcast.com and click on the link on the homepage next to the cover art for Nancy Faust at the Game, or you can type in the URL where that link would take you and just go straight there yourself. That page is artisticintegrityrecords.bandcamp.com. Once you're there, you'll be able to buy either a regular copy of the CD or one that has been signed by Nancy. The official release date is July 29th, 2025, which is the 48th anniversary of Nancy playing Na Na Hey Hey Kiss 'Em Goodbye at Comiskey Park for the first time during the summer of 1977. So your orders will ship after that date.
I know exactly when it happened, and I know there's other people that do, and now I've listened to broadcasts, and Jimmy Spearsall's going, listen to that, look, what are they singing?
Yeah.
July 29th.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was against the Royals, so
Right.
It was the right team. They were vying for first place, and it was a heated game.
Yeah.
And I just happened to play it when somebody struck out first, and it grew from there.
I can't tell you how much your support means to both Nancy and to me. I'd have never dreamed that one day I'd be putting out an album by someone whose music is so deeply tied to so many core memories from my childhood. But believe me when I say, I'm honored that this is the way my life has worked out. If you have a friend or family member who you think might want a copy of Nancy Faust at the Game, please share the link with them. But no matter how you choose to support us, even if it's just by listening, we appreciate you being here. Until next time, I'm Dan Wallach, and this is my baseball history. Usually those are the last words I say before an episode ends, but here's something I've waited my whole life to be able to say. Hit it, Nancy.